Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing another reviews and ratings episode where I review and rate all the different games I've been playing in the past 2 weeks with friends, family, and even solo. Today we've got 8 different games we're talking about, and these are the best sets of games that I've gotten to review this year. A couple of them, aren't going to get the greatest scores, but 6 of them are going to get pretty decent scores, and so I was really excited for all of these games that I've been playing lately. And we're going to go start with my least favorite and get into my favorites for the last couple weeks. So let's start with the smallest game and my least favorite game of the week. And this is Epic Card Game. This is a small package game. It comes in a deck of cards. And it is a head-to-head battling game, very much similar and inspired by Magic the Gathering. And everybody is going to be playing out these creatures, trying to kill the other person's creatures, but ultimately trying to kill that person as a whole to win the game. And every turn you have one resource to spend, and these cards that you have are only 0 resources or 1 resource to play. So you're playing out these cards, trying to take out the other monsters and stuff, and there's responses, and there's different phases. This is by the same people who made Star Realms. This game is going to get a 5.5. And for one reason, it's just way different of a game than I was kind of expecting. I was expecting this to be like a lighter head-to-head Magic the Gathering sort of game, where in fact this is a pretty complex game. There's a lot of things going on. There's different phases, there's responses, there's retaliation, and there's like, oh, this happens during this phase, and in between this phase there's this thing happening. And I was like, this is just a small little deck of cards, and I was hoping that it would be lighter. And so maybe I'm biased because I was expecting something different, but if I'm going to play a complex game that's like Magic the Gathering, I'll probably just play Magic the Gathering, and I was really hoping this would be lighter because it's from the same people that made Star Realms, that's a deck builder that's in a small box. There is one thing that I do like about this game, though. There are big giant creatures in this game like Magic the Gathering, and you can play them on turn 1, which is really cool to be able to get these big creatures out. Like, all the cards are really, really powerful, and because all the cards are only going to cost 0 or 1 resources to play. But yeah, it's just, there's a little bit too much more going on than I want it to be. So this one instantly got put in the for sale pile after I played it a couple times. I'm like, yeah, I'd just rather play Magic the Gathering. So yeah, 5.5 for Epic Card Game. Going on to the next game is Avatar: The Last Airbender Crossroads of Destiny. This has got the Avatar IP, obviously, and I'm a big fan of the cartoon. And then the live action came out, and me and my girlfriend watched through the first season of the live action. And she got into it, so I went out and I got this game, and I was really excited about this one. And this is a game that plays much like a deck building game, but you're not really deck building throughout the game. You're deck building throughout the campaign. This is a campaign or a one-shot. You can play it either or. And throughout the game, you're going to pick one of the episodes to play, and you're going to be trying to take out the enemies, basically. And you're going to be doing that through like a deck building mechanic process almost, where you're going to draw 5 cards to your hand, and then you're going to play these cards out, and you can play them out as to do basic actions. You can just discard a card to do the basic actions, which are like moving or attacking, and some people are melee attackers, some people are distant attackers, and some cards have special abilities on them, so you can just play them as that particular special ability, just do what they say, and you're just trying to accomplish whatever that particular mission's goal is. This one's going to get a 6 rating, and it's for one reason. I was pretty disappointed by this. This is a cooperative game, but it's so easy. I've played 4 games of this so far, and not in any of those games did I once even feel the threat of us losing. Which, I mean, it's fine if you want to play some easy cooperative games. It gives me the feel of Airbenders or of the Avatar. It feels thematic to me, but without like the threat of losing ever, that it kind of brings it down for me. So unfortunately, it's going to get a 6. It's not terrible, but that fact that there's no tension of losing in that game, and the 4 games that I've played, we'll probably end up finishing the campaign, but I'm like, yeah, I didn't feel like going back because it felt very blah to me. So yeah, 6 rating for Avatar: The Last Airbender Crossroads of Destiny. Going on to the next game is Noobs in Space. This is an escape room sort of puzzle game where you're going to be playing through this game one time through. There's 8 different missions in this, and the missions are usually 10 to 20 minutes long is how long it takes. But each mission you're going to be handing out a deck of these cards to everybody randomly, and on the cards are going to tell you what the puzzle is, the mission that you're trying to accomplish. And you can't show other people the cards that you have in your hand, and you just have to fully communicate everything to all the people, which is an interesting thing. You're like, okay, we're supposed to be doing this, and this rocket is like this, and these shapes are supposed to be over here. So you're completely explaining in as much detail on this card, but it's a timed thing, so you want to do it fastly. And I can't show any of the cards on here because there's going to be spoilers on there. But yeah, it's just sort of an escape room puzzle type game with 8 missions in it. This one's going to get a 7.5. Out of all the escape room-esque type games I've played, this one is up there with some of my favorites, actually. And the reason why it's not a little bit higher is because after we completed some of the missions and we found the solution or whatever, or it showed us which cards are actually supposed to be put down, we're like, okay, how did they get this? And they don't explain how they got to certain things, unless I missed it somewhere. But it would have been nice if we got an explanation of how they got to certain things, because we missed a few things, and we're like, I don't know how they got it. And the fact that they didn't explain it was kind of a bummer. But I had a really good time playing through this. But no, this is like a one-time playthrough game. You're not ripping up anything, but once you've played through it, you can't really play through it again because you know all the puzzles and everything like that. So it's a one-time playthrough, and give it off to a friend. It's one that I recommend for sure. So 7.5 for Noobs in Space. Next game, we're going into the newest set for Disney Lorcana. This is Into the Inkland. Now, I've really enjoyed Disney Lorcana over the last few months. I've been playing it with my girlfriend quite a bit, and that's basically the only person I've been playing with. And I've been playing basically just the starting decks, and there's 7 starting decks now that are out, and this is the newest one, so I got the 2 new starter decks for this, and we were playing with that. And I like what they're doing with this game. They're adding a little bit more complexity each and every turn, or each and every set. This one added locations, which you can have your people go to locations, and they're going to get certain abilities. They're also going to get you lore throughout the game, which is always a good thing. And so yeah, this one's going to get an 8 rating. This is basically what I rate Lorcana. It's a fun CCG type game, and I like that they just keep coming out with the starter decks with the sets so that I'm not, I don't feel like I have to go out and buy the other things. I can just continue to play with these starter decks, and that's going to be great. So yeah, 8 rating for Disney Lorcana Into the Inkland. Going on to the next one. The next one is also a CCG, a very popular CCG that just came out. This is Star Wars Unlimited. Now, in this particular CCG, I bought the 2-player starter decks for this. And then there's other cards that you can buy. I never got into that. So this is I'm just going to be talking about the 2-player starter decks that came out. And, one player plays as the good guy, one player plays as the bad guy. And in this one, it is a back and forth, head-to-head battler. But instead of me taking an entire turn and then you taking an entire turn, they are like, I'm going to take an action, you're going to take an action. I'm going to take an action, you're going to take an action. And eventually we're going to both be passing, and that's when that round ends. Something that I really like in this one is, it's very much like Lorcana in that you can use one of your cards and put it down as a resource. So every round you're going to pick up 2 cards, and you can use one. You can take 1 card from your hand and put it down as a resource. And that's how you're going to be playing out your cards to, by using those resources. In Lorcana, you're only drawing 1 card. This one, you're drawing 2 cards, which I enjoy that much more because then I have more options, and I'm going to be going through my deck faster. I like that compared to Lorcana. As far as the set itself, this one's going to get an 8 rating. I like it a little bit more than a Lorcana at the moment. This is just the starter decks, but I like the system a little bit more. It reminds me a lot of Star Wars Destiny, of that back and forth actions. Rather than taking a whole huge turn where it might take, a few minutes, this one's like, okay, I'm going to attack with this person to do 3 damage on there. Okay, your turn. And so it's back and forth like that. And I enjoy that more because you're more involved in it. And I enjoy that part of it. I will say I've joined some online communities for this on Facebook and stuff. And there's definitely a meta for this game already. And it just got out. It's like, if you aren't running these decks, you're not going to be competing with those people. So it feels like it's getting more into the Magic the Gathering, where you can't keep up with people because they're going to just spend more money and get their decks better than you, which is unfortunate, but hopefully they just come out with a bunch of starter decks all the time like Lorcana has done, and that's how I'm going to enjoy playing this game. So an 8 rating for Star Wars Unlimited Spark of Rebellion. That's what the 2-player set is called. All right, going on to the next one. The next game is Galactic Renaissance. Now, this is the person who made the game Inish, a game that I really enjoyed. In this game, you're going to have a hand of cards each turn, and you're going to be playing out these cards down onto the table and doing what those actions are. Some of those actions are going to let you play another action after them. So you might play out your entire hand of cards, or you might just be playing one card and doing that particular action. In this game, you are going to be going out and exploring new planets, putting more people on different planets, trying to gain control of certain planets, or trying to have like equal number of people. The game all depends on what the objectives are, and there are 3 objectives out at one time, and it might be, you want to have the same number of people on these planets, and you're going to score 2 points every time you score objectives, which you have a card in your hand, and whenever you play that card, then you're going to score those objectives. And the scoring, it's like you play out this and then you go through those objectives. You're like, okay, I get 6 points for this objective, 3 points for this objective, and 1 point for that. So I got 10 points, so you move up 10 on the track. It is the first person to reach 30 points wins the game. But if ever you get past the 20 mark and not into the 30 mark, you just go back to 20. And the last round, you're going to have to get past 30, or else you're going to get marked down to 20, which is a weird mechanic. This one's going to get an 8.5. I personally like Inish quite a bit. I like this one, I think, a little bit more. There's some things I like less and some things I like more. There isn't that drafting mechanic that Inish had, which I really enjoy, so I miss that part of it. This one is less combat-oriented, where Inish, it's not really a combat game, but there's always the threat of combat, sort of. This one is more of like political movement and moving your pieces around in a certain manner. So I enjoy that part rather than trying to have combat all the time. So yeah, 8.5 for Galactic Renaissance. I thought it was a really good follow-up to Inish, and I'm interested there. He's supposed to be making a trilogy, so I'm really excited to see what he has for his next game. And this one looks awesome as well. It's pretty awesome to me. So yeah, 8.5 for Galactic Renaissance. Going on to the next game. The next game is a game that I kickstarted. This is a game that I spent the most money on ever for any game, actually. And this is Last Light. This is a 4X game designed by Dice Tower's Roy Cannaday. In this game, you're going to have a hand of cards. Everybody's got the same 6 cards, and you're going to be playing out these cards simultaneously. You're like, okay, I reveal the card, and then basically everybody's going to do their stuff. And that stuff is like gathering up resources, or spending those resources to build out new ships, or spending resources to add tech abilities to your different ships that are out there. Or you might be moving around the board with the one combat card that it moves, and then you're going to have combat with that. And it's all happening basically simultaneously. So the game is much faster than your normal 4X games like Eclipse or Twilight Imperium. And in this one, there is this board that is moving, that is rotating, and you're trying to basically go out to these planets, collect resources, have control of certain planets to collect light. Light is the points. The game ends once people have 20 light, and there's the combat in this game is very, very simple and straightforward. You're going to be rolling dice, but all of your ships are going to be slowly getting more abilities as the game goes on. You're going to get more and more asymmetric as the game goes on, as you put more text down, as you kind of become more individualistic in this game once the game goes on further. Everybody gets alien abilities, and there's like 40 different aliens in this game. As me personally, I backed the deluxe Kickstarter edition with the expansion, so I got like everything for this game. So I've got like 40 alien factions. The alien factions just feel like almost like another tech ability rather than having like their own alien faction, because the alien ability is so like, it's not like a huge ability. It's just something small. It just feels like another tech upgrade that you got. This one's going to get an 8.5. I really like that you're doing everything simultaneously, and that takes from the downtime, because one of the things I don't like about these bigger 4X games is like, you take your turn, and if you're playing like a 4 or 5 player game, you're like, okay, I could go to the next room because I'm not doing anything for the next half an hour or something. And in this one, you're always invested. You're always going, and some things might take a little bit longer. So you might be waiting like a minute or two, but it's like you're going to take an action. Okay, everybody done? Okay, we're going to do it again. And sometimes, there's combat and stuff, but that's resolved fairly fast. And the game is maybe an hour and a half, maybe, depending on who you're playing with. I really enjoyed it. I do have one complaint, though. Like I said, this is the most money I've ever spent on a Kickstarter game. The components are a mixed bag. I really like the marble planets that are out there. I think they look really cool. Everything else feels really cheap. The cards feel cheap. There's asteroids that look like Playtel asteroids. They're really cheap plasticky stuff. The ships aren't that great. I don't feel like I got $200 and some worth of components here. I feel like this game should have been like $100. But that is my complaint. Money-wise, I don't think it's the best components other than those marble planets, which I think look awesome. But the game itself, gameplay, this is the 4X game that I'm going to want to play. I don't want to go out and play Eclipse now that I've got this. This is my 4X game now. So yeah, 8.5 for Last Light. Going on to our last game. The last game is actually the smallest game we're going to be talking about today, or the simplest game. This is Knarr. This is a very simple-esque game where there's little rules, but there's a lot of depth. In this game, you're going to be placing out these Vikings and spending these Viking cards to go exploring. And you got to choose what you're going to do. So you can either take where you take a Viking of a certain color, or play a Viking down of a certain color, and you're going to get all the rewards from that Viking and any other Viking that you have in your area of that particular color. So you might get points from this Viking that you're laying down, but you're going to get rewards from all of the other Vikings that are down there as well. So you might get 6 or 7 different things possibly by laying these people down. Or if you don't want to do that, you can go exploring and you basically spend the Vikings that you have to buy these other cards that are going to be working on a different engine. And that different engine is going to be slowly building up as you spend these Vikings. And then you can spend some different resources to trigger all of that particular engine, which is a neat concept because you have these 2 engines that you're building, but you have to take away from one engine to build up this other engine, which makes for some interesting, tough decisions. You're like, should I spend these Vikings or should I place this down to get a bunch of rewards now? Or should I spend those Vikings to bring them over here to eventually trigger all of these special abilities? I really like it. It's going to get a 9 rating. It feels like it's going to be one of those classic card games at the moment. This is a game that I highly recommend for people who are going to like smaller card games. This feels like the classic card games. This is going to feel like, like a Lost Cities to me. I have played this game a lot already, and I'm not sick of it. I want to continue to play it. I mean, I didn't even buy this one because my friend bought it, and I was thinking about buying it. I'm definitely buying it now. And I've played it a lot already. So yeah, 9 rating for Knarr. That is the best game of the week for myself. And that will complete this reviews and ratings episode. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts on some of these games. If you've played them, if you haven't, if you agree with me, if you don't. Either way, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.